I'm not anticipating too many surprise exclusions because Heineke Meyer is very much a horses for courses kind of man, and he's picked players on form. So we're not expecting too many surprises. I think the lingering concern that most of us had is that many of the players who would ordinarily be automatic selections are nursing some niggles and certain injuries. Captain Jean de Villiers being one of them, of course, and Marcel Coetzee amongst them. So it might be a difficult week for Heineke Meyer, or it has probably been a difficult week for Heineke Meyer in determining which of those players that are carrying injuries are going to be included or excluded in the team this week. But with an opening game against Japan coming up in the World Cup, who aren't exactly the heavyweights of world rugby, maybe Heineke Meyer might just gamble on these slightly injured players and phase them in gradually in a match like the opener against Japan. We're not expecting too many shock exclusions from the Springbok team that's going to be announced later today, but of course it's an emotive issue, and exclusions will always form part of a hefty debate. But they're like any other team, always going to be exclusions and players that have been told during the week that they are not part of that 31. And just judging from speaking to correspondents in Durban this week, it's been a very emotional process, and some players have even burst into tears at being told that they're going to be excluded from this 31 Springbok side going to the World Cup. But let's have a quick look at some potential exclusions who might not be on that flight to England next month. Midfielder Jan Serfontein, Lucy Heinrich Brosseau, Marcel Coetzee, front rower Vincent Koch, and another front row candidate, Steven Kitsoff. The Bulls pair Marcel van der Merwe and his namesake Flip van der Merwe. And the Sharks scrummy Kobus Reinach might also find himself missing out. The list I've just mentioned is a group of very, very talented players in their own right who would belong in any Springbok environment at any given time. But we've mentioned it before, 31 is the target, and that is all that Heineke Meyer can take to this World Cup. The transformation debate will always rage on considering where we come from as a country. But it's exerted certainly unnecessary pressure on coach Heineke Meyer and the selectors this week. And of course, not to mention, of course, a certain very bitter and disgruntled ex-Bok coach throwing stones this week at Heineke Meyer, so much so to the extent that the attack on Meyer became personal. Out of the 8 to 10 players of colour, if I can call them that, and for the life of me, I still don't know why we call them that, because they're wearing a Springbok jersey and they're representing our country. But out of those 8 to 10 players that Heineke Meyer is likely to select, every one of them is a fit, and every one has been selected on the basis of pure rugby skill and how they fit into the Springbok setup ahead of this World Cup. And I'm quite convinced that the likes of Brian Habana, JP Peterson or Lwazi Mvovo would be highly insulted if they were referred to as quota players. For a list of the 31 likeliest contenders who are going to be on that plane to England next month to the 2015 Rugby World Cup in England, go to our website, Jacaranda FM, simply click on Sport.